Hey guys, welcome back to Steph's Deluxe Kitchen. I'm Steph and this is my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make a keto nut brittle. So with this recipe you can use whatever kind of nuts that you like. I'm going to use cashews today, but whatever kind of nuts that you have in your pantry, pecans, almonds, cashews, whatever, it'll work perfectly for this recipe. So let me show you what ingredients I use and some of the equipment that you might be needing for this recipe. So I use granulated swerve, and you could probably use monk fruit, a granulated monk fruit if you'd like, or if you're not doing the keto diet or way of eating, you can just use regular sugar, but this recipe is for the keto way of eating. So I use granulated swerve. I also use vanilla, some salt, some Kerrygold butter, and I'm going to use cashews today, but again you can use almonds or pecans. They all taste really good with this recipe. And you're going to want to need a baking sheet and some parchment paper and a non-stick pan, and I really love this pan. It's a Blue Diamond pan. I got it from Bed Bath & Beyond, and it's the As Seen on TV line. It's super non-stick, like really you can just rinse the candy out once you're done cooking and it doesn't even stick. So I highly recommend you getting a non-stick pan for this recipe. And then you're going to want something to stir the candy with, and that's about it. So I'm going to come back and we will get started, and I'll show you how to make this yummy nut brittle. Let's get started. You're going to use 4 tablespoons of butter, and I've already got my oven a little bit, or my stove a little bit warm. And I have a gas oven or gas stove, so the cooking temperatures are going to vary if you have an electric stove or if you have a gas. So I can't really tell you how long you're going to cook your stuff for. It just varies. So mine is set to medium to low, and you're going to melt your butter. It is 4 tablespoons, and you just get it started, get it melting, and then you're going to add your sugar or your swerve to the butter once this gets a little bit melted. And this recipe you can't really walk away from. You have to stand and stir, because in order to know when it's done, you're gonna look at the color of the candy and the smell. So that's why I'm showing you today how to do this, because I can't really tell you, oh, you're gonna cook it for 3 to 5 minutes on high. It really varies for your stove and the color and stuff. So I'm just letting this melt. This pan I can't say enough about. It's so awesome. This Blue Diamond pan, non-stick. I don't work for them or anything. I just really like it. So I highly recommend it. So now that this is getting melted, I'm going to add the sugar, and you're going to use a half a cup of granulated swerve. So you just toss that in there and get it all coated. Now, swerve does not dissolve the same as regular sugar. It takes a while, so you're gonna have to stand here and stir and stir and stir. You're also gonna use 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, pure vanilla. So I just pour that in there too. And you're gonna use a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So you can just add it all together. It doesn't matter if it isn't fully dissolved yet, but you do have to constantly stir. So don't walk away, don't go answer the door and go get your mail. You're gonna have to stand here and watch it. And again, I had my oven on a medium to low. If you turn it up super high, you're gonna burn it, and you really don't want that. It'll start smoking and burning, and then you're not gonna have a good nut brittle. So if you can see, it's starting to dissolve. It's not fully dissolved. It's still sort of like a sandy consistency still. So just keep stirring and stirring. Might take a little bit. But I'm telling you, you're going to really love this. You're not going to even know that it's sugar-free. This is sugar-free. This erythritol, the Swerve, is a sugar-free sugar substitute. So if you're doing keto or low carb, or you know, you're a diabetic and you can't have a lot of sugar, this is a really good snack because it doesn't raise your blood sugars. So you just keep stirring and stirring. You have to have patience for this recipe, but it's so worth it. And I like to get this candy sugary sauce kind of fully dissolved before I add the nuts to it. So it's almost there. I'm gonna see, I might turn it up a little bit more. The flame, I have a gas stove again, so it just varies. And just keep stirring. You don't want it to boil. Some people who make this candy say put it on a boil, but when I've done that before, it really burned the candy and it didn't taste very good and it was ruined. So I don't want to tell you to boil it, like if you're in a hurry or whatever. So you just keep mixing. And if you could see the color, I don't know if the camera can zoom in, but the color is a really light caramely color. And once this recipe is done, it's going to be a dark caramel color. Not super dark, but dark. So I'm liking the consistency. I like how a lot of the sugar has dissolved. So I'm gonna add my cashews. And this is 1.5 cups I have. So I'm just gonna put some in and see how that looks. You want a lot of the space filled. So yeah, I have 1.5 cups. But if you like a lot of nuts or not a lot of nuts and a lot of the candy coating better, it's your preference. So make this recipe your own. So now I'm just stirring and coating all of these cashews with this caramel candy coating. And so to tell when it's done, you have to really watch the color. So right now it's a light caramel color and you can't really smell it. I mean, you can kind of smell it, but it's all with color and smell. And so you're just gonna keep stirring and watch the color change and wait until you smell the yummy caramely smell. So you want to have your baking sheets and your parchment paper ready, because as soon as it's done, you're going to pour it in. I mean, you don't wait. You just pour it in, and it's going to be very hot. Don't let it touch your skin. I mean, it's very, very hot, so you have to be careful. If you don't have a stove like mine where you can set your tray on, make sure you have hot pads or a trivet underneath your pan, because the pan will get super hot too, and I don't want it to damage your counter or anything. So make sure you have hot pads or trivets ready under your pan. This sauce, this candy sauce, is very hot. So as you can see, the color is still a light caramel. You want it a little darker. If you decide to dump it out right now and let it cool, it's gonna turn out, when you break it up into brittle form, the nut brittle, it'll be like a cracker consistency. So it still tastes good, but it's not quite the peanut brittle consistency that you want. And I did mention peanuts. You could use peanuts. Typically you don't on keto eat peanuts. It's just your decision. If you want to use peanuts, use peanuts. I imagine it would be very good. So it's kind of bubbling. I don't want it to boil, so I'm going to turn it down just a tad. I'm still coating. For cashews, you're going to see the color of the cashews change also. It'll get like a toasty color. If you use pecans, which I've done too, it's kind of harder to see or tell when the pecans are done, when the brittle is done, because obviously the pecans are darker. So that you have to really focus on the color of the candy part if you're using pecans. It's a little easier with cashews because they're a lighter nut. Probably peanuts would be the same. So you just have to be patient, just keep stirring and watching the color and the smell. If you can smell it, I'm starting to smell the candy smell. It's really good. If you can see, the caramely color is going from light to a little bit darker, and you can also see that cashews are starting to toast a bit, and that's exactly what you want. It's starting to smoke, which means it's almost done. So when you see the smoke coming off and you can smell the toastiness of the cashews, you're getting very close. So again, this recipe is all about color and smell. So I can't really tell you stir and cook for so many minutes because it depends on your stove and how much nuts and sauce you have in here. So it's just about done. You can see, I don't know if you can see the smoke coming off, which is really good. And I'm liking the color. It's turning a darker caramel color. You can see the nuts are toasting really well. And when you are making this yourself, you're going to smell the toasted caramel smell. When you smell that and you see the toastiness, it is done. I am liking this. It's very, very hot. So be really careful. If you guys can see this pan, it just super non-stick. It just pours right off really nicely. And so now, once you have it on your tray, be very careful that you don't let it touch your skin. It's hot. And just kind of spread the nuts out so that they're all evenly on this candy, on the sauce. Don't touch it, it's very hot. And I just like to spread it out. And once it's on here, you're gonna let it cool. Takes probably 15 minutes, maybe 15-20 minutes to completely cool. And then you're gonna break it up into little brittle pieces, into nut brittle pieces. So see, I could have added a little bit more nuts to this because I have all this extra space. So it just varies. It's your preference. If you like a lot of nuts, then add more nuts. This was 1.5 cups, so maybe 2 cups would be good too. It just depends. All right. So I'm gonna let that cool. It looks like they're all flattened and not piled on each other. I'm gonna let that cool and clean up my workspace, and it should be ready to break up, and we'll come back and I'll show you what that looks like. So it's been about 20 minutes and the brittle has hardened. So now you're gonna take the time and break it up into little pieces. So as you can see, it's pretty hard. And you just start breaking it apart. And depending on how many you're gonna serve or how many pieces, you can leave it in big giant chunks. I like to do little chunks so a lot of people can try it. You just break it up. And as you can see, that's just how you do it. So I just wanted to say thank you for watching Steph's Deluxe Kitchen. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with all of your friends. Thanks for watching. So now I'm going to show you I have a gas stove. So I cook it on medium to low temperature. So I don't know what you're going to set your, should we start over? Well, no, we have to.
Did you leave it on?
No. Don't make me look like a dork.